approach. Over to you, Rahman sir.
Thank you, Rakshanda. Please let me know if my screen is shared now and it is visible to.
Yes, yes, we can see the screen and it's visible to all of us.
Uh, Bismillah Rahman Rahim again. The concept is actually to drive our awareness, little bit education, and some plan how we can move uh, on the road of developing or having Chakwal as an innovative districts, and then have many replications of this development. So at the moment, Chakwal ranked as a ninth in the HDI index, which is called Human Development Index. And according to some statistics, in Chakwal we have 12% population lives below the poverty line, and monthly income of one person in Chakwal is around 8,000, and which is almost less than 10 to 15 districts of Pakistan, like Gujranwala, Lahore, Islamabad, Karachi, Multan, Faisalabad. They have much higher per month person income. So simply, if we need to drive the agenda ahead and set some challenges for us, like Malik Sahab always says, what challenge for us? So our challenge for us is to drop that rank from 9th to 4th. Like if we have our top five cities, Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, Multan, so Chakwal must be among the fourth big cities having HDI around four. Similarly, we have need to have a zero poverty in the district. Similarly, we need to increase 3 times per person income, reaching 32,000 per person per month income. So this is a simple target we have, and we have it very brief so we can understand well. We can remind us always. This is the humble target we have, and we roadmap we have to achieve this is policy and governance, economic development, and social development. So these are the three major instrumental steps we need to have in order to achieve this big dream. Now, a little bit from a professor. She is Professor Mazzucato, and recently, Malak Saab, she challenged the current world theory of working between private sector and public sector. We normally in Pakistan as well assume that the government business is not to do the business. Government has to let the private sector operate, work, and thrive. All the development indicators belong to the private sector, and government simply have to sit aside, listen the music, and just do little bit legislation and rules and governance. This is the current word over assumption. This is mostly dominated in Western world. Government business is not to do any business. This professor has challenged this notion, and she said it is absolutely wrong. And the word coming up now, like Asian word, China word, Taiwan word, the scenario is absolutely opposite to it. Government is more active than private sector, and this is the new word. This is a new word order we can see, where government has to be more active, more proactive, more dynamic than private sector if you want to live and lead in this world now. So things almost in the opposite direction now as normally thought. So she actually coined this theory of entrepreneurial state. So this is the lady, and she says that no region, country, and district can compete unless proactively and dynamically drive the planned effort, not haphazard effort. Things will not happen accidentally. It is we, state, society, or group of people who need to plan efforts, drive efforts. Unless nothing will happen. So most of the magazine now started citing her theory now. Like the economist says, Mazzucato is right to argue that the state has played a central role in producing game-changing breakthrough in the world. Like she shared the Apple example the mostly. So she found the data that the 90% technologies used in the Apple are actually the state funded. The private sector has just picked the technologies, put together and make a product. So the groundwork has been done by the public sector, by the research institutions, by the state funding. So this is the level of government proactiveness. So whenever we as a small civil society or some non-profit organization or some disintegrated public sector units do something for the development, it is simply like a boat being sunk, having 10 holes, and we always try to fill 5, 6, 5, 6. Even if we cover the 9 holes, the boat has the chance still to be sunk unless we cover the 10 holes. And therefore, now the society, the industry, the state has to sit together, put their efforts together, and work in a very synergetic way. This is what she professor actually advocates. There is no more time to work in isolation and in a less energetic way or less integrated way. We welcome Irshad Saab. So normally we say that we need an inclusive growth. So there is a one part of the society advocates for inclusive growth and they are disintegrated. And one calls for SDG growth and they are also somewhere in the country, they are having their own seminars, own meeting, own clusters, things, and they are for SDG development. Few call it multi-stakeholder development, few call it multi-factor development. So all are disintegrated, all work in their own silos and domains. Therefore, we don't have an impact to flourish and to be seen. So even if we have an innovative Chakwal concept, the wheel will not move unless the force unite together and move it together. And state has to be moved on. And we all need to shift our belief from a stateless and a governmentless approach to a government supported approach where government comes in the game, play with us, make their part what they actually need to do. But without government, the driving development like China is driving, like South Korea, Taiwan driving is no more possible. This is what the professor actually theorized. So the multi-factor, multi-stakeholders approach need to put all their effort together, then the wheel will start moving. Otherwise, we all will stay isolated, working in their own area and having little bit publications, but wheel of innovation will not move. It will not run. So we need to shift our mindset little bit from isolated working to a kind of a collaborative uh, working or planned efforts. So now coming to direct operation side, how we will move on. So the BQF is actually the host of this concept, Innovative Chakwal, and we will drive all the stakeholders to come into this game and play their part, either the universities, government, district government, R&D organization, civil society, private sector, international experts. So the partners will get from this platform a high level of facilitation for policy and scientific research and experiments, stakeholders connectivity and mobilization, and most importantly, the rule of governing this program, mechanism of this program, how the partners will work together. So we will give them the business rule. So all work together, all enjoy the fruits of this development and due credit. Resource sharing will be possible in this program when we are together. Investment for viable projects will be possible, for viable technologies will be possible, and there is a higher chance that we will win the bigger chunk of funding from the development sector when we are together, we have a mega plan, big projects together. So there are number of projects we need to move on and we need to mobilize. these projects, but most importantly, we shortlisted 6 projects which are the priority areas because Chikwal is a arid zone. So water harvesting is very important. Clean water is very important there. Even water for agriculture, civic use is very crucial there. Disability, Chakwal has the highest disability in Pakistan. Healthcare is the issue because Chakwal is a rural area. So healthcare and disability is the priority. District governance and policy is a very important factor. How district should be run actually, how the governance system in the district would be, which we kind of from an autocratic kind of a district style and governance to a collaborative cooperative style of district governance. So this is the big challenge we need to. Then value added livestock where we can export meat from Chakwal. Then value added agriculture where from we can export byproduct of agriculture like olive. And then vocational training, so we have large pool of economic mobilization. So innovative Chakwal is simply a concept which presents the opportunity for everyone to join hands, to connect together and make a bigger impact, which everyone has a dream. All the participants, we see very potential people, very big people here in the seminar. All they have big dreams to do things in life. But if we plug all these together, we will have a bigger dream of innovative Chikwal. We will contribute and we will share the rewards. Thank you very much for the questions. Yes, Rakshanda, over to you.
Thank you so much, Rama sir, for elaborating the concept of innovative Chakwal. And thanks for highlighting the problems and highlighting the ways we can adopt for the innovative Chakwal. So thank you so much. Now I would like to request our very honorable guest of honor, Mr. Dr. Ali Kamal, Head of Public Investment Authorization Department. Sir, welcome to our session and please over to you and please share your valuable thoughts with us. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum and thanks for having me. If you can you hear me, guys?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. So thanks for having me, and it's a very good it's an honor to speak to such a good audience who are making a difference at the ground level, and this is a very good project as far as Chakwal is concerned, and as far as the two organizations who have recently have the MOU signing ceremony, and they signed the MOU with each other. I was looking at Bin Kutab work which they have done so far, which is related to rural healthcare and education, and both are goal 3 and goal 4 of SDGs, which I was used to work for the last 4 years about the SDG growth, which calls for inclusive and equitable both growth, because when we talk about inclusive growth, then it has to be include all those backward areas which are left behind because of anything which blames the bureaucracy of politics. They are left behind, and one of the big motto of Sustainable Development Goal is no one leaving behind, and we have to implement all, and farthest behind first is the slogan which we used to call it. So as far as the last speaker is concerned, nothing to worry, because he is pro-government and pro-government implementation thing, but the issue is that when the need to poke their nose in their matters, because private sector is the one who is making profits, and government is the one who redistribute the resources among the people, so that they can have social welfare function maximized. Everyone has way of doing it, The person that he's referring to is a good philosopher, and they have their own philosophy. So coming back to the MOU and the innovation cluster district and clusters thing, which deals with the science. So I want to highlight some of the potential areas which can work it out when you are implementing it at the ground level. Though it's a very good project, it's a very good intervention, innovation type of project. And as the previous speaker said, that they want Chakwal to be ranked as number 4 in the HTI after Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad. So they will be better than Peshawar. They'll be better than Gujranwala. So that's a good ambitious scenario which they are going to do. But how will they do it? As where Binkutab is working on rural healthcare and education. So coming back to the pinpoint things that we have improved are skilled deliveries in overall Pakistan from 52% in 2012. Who said it? The pediatrician said it. And health survey, which is conducted by National Institute of Population Studies at under the Ministry of Health. So they have conducted the survey, and they showed us that there's 17% improvement in skilled deliveries. But still, we are at 69% overall. I don't know about the also mentioned by the chair or speaker that we don't have rural growth targets. We don't have rural growth number. We don't have district growth number. We are, because when we talk about the rural growth scenario, we have two components in front of us as a growth specialist. I can say this, that there are those people who are farmers working on their people who are not farmers, and they are not related to the agriculture field. So there are other employed person in some of the industries which are working on their suburbs, which are outside urban towns or small towns inside in their vicinity. So when we talk about the rural transfer agriculture is concerned, we need to increase the agriculture. We need to increase the yield of agriculture. How will we do that? We can do that by increasing the efficiency of fertilizer. We can do that by increasing the efficiency of water. We can do that by improvement in the management practices of the farm activities to increase the yield. And while talking to fertilizer, increased 16 to 17% of the cotton yield in the that is contributing into the growth. Number 2, we must have the high yield variety, and here very important, we need to invest in a high yield variety seeds, and when we do that, it needs a higher investment. It doesn't mean that it is in billions. Have 50 billion project or 100 billion on different varieties of seed. The chance that bureaucracy doesn't want specific yield of specific seed, which has very minor impact on the yield, to come in the market. They want something something very substantial, which is to me contributing iota of growth in any way. You must do that. Coming back to again health sector, uh, as far as technology is concerned, we must have some kind of telehealth system which is connected to different hospitals, where someone, if someone needs some consult, he can have a tele system. We all have a smart school system and smart school phones with in our hand in the villages, in the vicinities, in their communities. They have smartphone system. If they don't have, one can have it. Some doctors who is, and simple diseases can be cured or can be taken care of on that telehealth system, or some other kinds of things which are treated with the doctor, or operation is needed or surgery is needed. Then after consult and the patient, they can have time, they can have all the reports, and they can uh, book the appointment and do that physically after several consultations. This will avoid the traveling of that patient from home to hospital in one way, because this happened with my niece uh, who had cancer, and they had a conversation during COVID with the doctor sitting in UK. And after 2 months of consultation, he asked them to come over and had surgery. So all these kind of things are happening in the world, and we can have it. Why not? We can have it in Chakwal. So what we need is technology, upgradation, and use of technology in those hospitals. Uh, Again, I will wrap up in 5 minutes after health and education. Tag needy people who needs neonatal, antenatal, prenatal care, and lady health workers can do that. We have a very good system of lady health workers. We need to utilize it uh, by building the synergies, which Rashid Sahab said. Uh, need to build the synergies with the hospitals, with the BHUs, with THQs, and lady health workers. They must have at one point that they need to deliver, they need to work on those on MNCH program, which is in government, if you call it MNCH program, they want to build a hospital or they want to equip the hospital with several equipments. But on the softer side, when we talk about the mother and child healthcare programs, this is on we can do it on the ground by using the technology part, by sharing the information between the houses with the lady health workers, and this lady or this kid or this child needs the healthcare facility, and you can provide it by using the telehealth or helpline systems. So here I stop the health system. Now coming to the education, the same tagging which I am saying about the neonatal or prenatal or antenatal care or the mother and child health care systems, we need to tag, or you need to tag, as far as a university is concerned, or a think tank is concerned, out of school children. Tag out of school children in Chakwal district, and bring them back to school. This is happening in AJK, and there's a big project which is happening for the last 1 year, and is going for the next 4 years. So it's already happening over there. As far as ensuring quality education, I can't say, because it's a governance issue, and community must be involved in it to ensure the quality of education, because they are the ones whose kids are going to school, and they need to step up and come up with solutions, some kind of solutions, with the help of the SAM MOU signing authorities, that we can do these kind of things to help to increase the quality of education in those schools. So community must be very involved. Raghuram Rajan is one of the author of the book. who says that we always miss the third pillar of economy, which is community. The other two pillars are market and government. So after market and government, community is very important to deliver for a better governance system. In the end, I would just want to mention that when you're talking about the education, and I picked health and education because Bin Qutb Foundation is working on it. The last thing is Namal College, technical education. So Miyawali has it, Chakwal doesn't have it. So let's build it in Chakwal, whether it's a main city or in some rural area where they can build, they can have a new city or new better town, environment friendly, inclusive, equitable, um, just besides a river, some river or some lake, or where they don't have any problem of water availability. So the technical education is one thing which can be done physically in presence for the practical purpose, and on online, which is happening right now in all parts of the world. So here I stop. So these are my just suggestions or some points on top of my head for the policy sustainability research for both the parties who are signing MOUs. One will be doing research and one will be implementing on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ali, for your valuable suggestion. And I hope by following all these suggestions, we can achieve the goal of innovative Chakwal. Thank you so much. So our honorable chief guest has just joined us. Thank you so much, sir. Raja Yasir Humayun Sarfraz, Minister Higher Education, Punjab Information Technology Board. Sir, thank you so much for sparing time for our session. And thank you so much. Now, we will proceed the session further, and I would like to invite Professor Emanuela Tudeva, who is working as Executive Director, International Triple Helix Association. Thank you so much, Professor Tudeva, for your time, and welcome to Pakistan. Actually, welcome to Chakwal, and over to you, please.
Hello, I want to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to address this event and to congratulate you on the signing of this memorandum of understanding. Can you hear me well? And can you see my screen?
Yes, we can hear you and can see your screen.
Thank you. I have the honor to address this audience at a moment when you are designing a very important ecosystem, and I would like to share with you some thoughts about innovation districts, innovation clusters, innovation regions, why we need to look at them as innovation ecosystems, what are the components of these ecosystems, and how we need to take care of all of this in a very holistic approach, how we need to look at it as a complex system where each part is significant enough to create a kind of cascading effect, speeding up and moving forward to all of those wonderful initiatives that you have already planned. I would like to share a few thoughts about the entrepreneurial ecosystems. Now, this is one of the very simple representation that these ecosystems have the government, and we heard that the government is very important, how they finance, how they regulate the system, how they intervene. The government is very important in the policy making and in the policy implementation process, but the government cannot do anything by themselves. And we know very well that top-down systems are not very effective. Everything we know about innovation ecosystems is that it has to be built around a multi-stakeholder approach. It has to be built around building broad coalitions of stakeholders, bringing them on board and sharing knowledge, sharing responsibility. And this diagram shows the key stakeholders from academia, from the private sector, capital, the way we finance all the activities and initiatives. And we need entrepreneurs, educated entrepreneurs, risk-taking entrepreneurs, active public. We call it social innovation. We call it frugal innovation. But what we see is that all of these stakeholders, they need to be coordinated. They need to be orchestrated as contributing to the factors of production. And here we have a little reminder from economic theory. What are the factors of production? This is the land, the territory of this district, the land reforms, the land management. It is essential not only to provide infrastructure. We praise the internet. It's part of the global infrastructure, but the local infrastructure remains critical for effective utilization of resources. The labor, educated labor, I will not repeat, technology. Now, there are different types of systems. There are systems, innovation systems, very powerful systems that acquire technologies, but they always raise a question about sustainability. So if you empower the stakeholders to create indigenous technologies, to develop, to co-develop these technologies, to adapt them to the local conditions, that's really the most important element of dynamic innovation ecosystems. And of course, the market demand, how you can raise the level of well-being of the public in this district, the people, because what is known in international business as domestic market, for regional innovation ecosystems, it's the regional market. It's the composition of services to the public in the region that are critical drivers of economic growth. I will be very quick with the with my slides further, that these systems need they need a design, those multi-stakeholder approach. It needs design positioning of critical actors in decision-making positions, but also collective decision-making, and it needs continuous orchestration, continuous engagement with all stakeholders. Just few reminders about the triple helix model. The triple helix model shows that among all stakeholders, the university, the government, and the private sector are most critical. However, it's not just their presence, it's their overlap. If we have the real triple helix happening when we achieve the overlap between these three spheres, where they start to share knowledge, to share information, and to share responsibilities. So this little triangle here, which is the overlap between the three, is where we see effective triple helix. And this effective triple helix is not just bringing actors together. The triple helix is related to each component of the local innovation system. For example, funding resources. This is not just the public funding. This is not just some banking and loans for entrepreneurs. We have the need to constitute a triple helix, how these funding resources are allocated. Each of those, within the universities, we need a triple helix, because the universities are not just delivering graduates. The universities have to engage in collaborative R&D with the private sector. They have to engage in collaborative policy making with the government. So each of these elements of the innovation ecosystems have to embrace the triple helix concept within themselves, so they become active participants in the multi-stakeholder environment. Just few comments on innovation. We are still trapped in this paradigm of product innovation and technology-driven product innovation. However, the critical innovation comes through process innovation, through service innovation, through social innovation. These are new powerful tools that this orchestration of local stakeholders have to raise up. Now, in the context of Europe, what is very critical is that this innovation has to be responsible. It has to be inclusive. Innovation should not just take part in key labs, in key university labs. It should take part in multiple dispersed agencies locally that contribute to the uplifting of technologies and what I call vertical and horizontal innovation throughout sectors, throughout services, throughout our way of living, including the way we consume resources. The environment is very critical. Vertical innovation will be this innovation which reaches the individual consumer, the use of resources. And I would like to finish with this slide and to wish you well in your initiatives, and just to emphasize that it's a continuous process. This event is the beginning of the process, but bringing together the stakeholders is a continuous process, and you need to innovate the tools that you use for decision making, for driving the stakeholders together in this direction of your vision, and engaging them to contribute to this vision becoming a reality. This is the Triple Helix scenario planning game, which is a very interactive tool which enables these stakeholders to sit together, to make decisions collectively, to draw roadmaps collectively, to project what future they would like to achieve, what are the alternative scenarios for this future, and to design action plans, how collectively they can drive the innovation process forward. I would like to thank you for the time that I had to address this audience, and to wish you well in the future implementation of your wonderful ideas. Thank you. And I will try to stop sharing my screen now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Todiwa, for your valuable suggestions and wonderful ideas. Thank you so much. So now I would like to request Mr. Rahmatullah, please highlight the session, and then I will invite my honorable chief guest for the address. Over to you, Rahmatullah, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chandra. We warmly welcome Honorable Minister Higher Education and Information Technology, Government of Punjab. And we have a little bit interaction in last meeting, which is hosted by Bashir Malik Sahab as well, in honor of one person of the Chakwal who won the award. And thank you. Recently, Malik Sahab has some deep dive as well, in terms of thinking deep dive and some planning deep dive. And we come up with the dream vision, which is named now as an innovative Chakwal, after a 6-month brainstorming and quite consultative discussions. And the concept is now out. And simply, sir, it means developing Chakwal, which is actually your district, and you are the hero and master of this district, to develop it as a model area or a model district having good economic prosperity, social prosperity, and good quality of life, which we sum up as a quality life index. And for that, we need to have a collaborative approach of development. And Bin Qutb Foundation has stepped up to drive this growth, become a platform where all the stakeholders will be connected, where the stakeholders will be facilitated and appreciated and inspired to work together for this dream of developing innovative Chakwal. And this is not possible absolutely unless, sir, you join it, you lead it, and your patronage is available for this concept. And gradually, with your reference and support, we request you to join, lead it, and involve other active stakeholders from the government sector, from the social sector in your reference circle. So we all achieve this dream together. Thank you. Over to you, Rakshandra.
Thank you so much, Rehma Saab. Now I would like to invite
Thank you
a
very much
very honored.
for taking these steps for betterment. Thank you very much for inviting me. I really appreciate this initiative, and I hope we can do something for the betterment of the area through this. What I would suggest is that since we have already established University of Chakwal, what I would request is that we collaborate using that platform, and I can appoint a focal person from the university which can keep in touch, because that may be the point where the youth can get involved in this. And so I think that's the way forward, that I'll request somebody, request the Vice Chancellor to appoint a focal person who can work with you, and then we can take this initiative further. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Raja Yasir Humayun Sarfraz, Provincial Minister, Higher Education, Punjab Information Technology Board. Sir, thank you so much for joining the session, and it's a very honor for us. Thank you so much. So we will move on further, and for innovative districts and clusters, our 21st century development approach. I would like to invite Mr. Zia Bande, Senior Fellow, Pakistan Institute of Development Economics. Sir, over to you, please. Please share some ideas for innovative Chakwal.
Okay, thank you. Let me share my screen with you guys. Okay. Okay, my presentation is, you can all see my presentation? Is there?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see your screen.
That's wonderful. First of all, I would to thank the sponsor of this very timely initiative, which they have taken on the cities, because this is very near to my heart. I've been working on this area. My name is Zia Bande. I'm a senior fellow. I'm an area of work is local economic development. And I believe that cities are the main drivers of growth. This is what have been proven, and which I will talk in bit detail in my presentation ahead. Let's start my formal presentation. For me, every city has some icon. Every city is basically known for the icon, for the things, because that shows the continuity, that shows the heritage, and that shows the resilience of that place. So this Kathas Raj temple basically is a heritage of Chakwal. It is known in the world also, and it's a place which reflects the resilience of this people who have not only marked in the local milieu, but even they have done abroad and overseas places also. This land has basically produced its proud sons. I have a short presentation. It's basically because you are talking about Chakwal, innovative Chakwal. So I'm bringing up another way of approach which we have been following and which we want to share with you guys also, so that if there is any point of collaboration between PIDE and between this Qutb Foundation and Refah University, we will be very pleased to be partnering with you people. I will be talking about LED, what and why, the structure, the precedent, the things which we have done, where you can take some cue also, and then we talk about some global models also. Let's talk about what and why. LED approach. I'm giving you a general definition of LED approach. It's basically an intentional practice of improving a community's economic well-being and quality of life. It includes a broad range of activities to attract, create, and retain jobs, and to foster a resilient, pro-growth tax base and an inclusive economy. Now, how we do it, there are tools, there are some structures working out. We are, because using the local stakeholder approach, so we talk about growth coalition. And what is a growth coalition for this LED? An association made between business leaders, elected officials, government officers, and other elite in order to promote the pro-business growth of a city. Now, why this rationale? Why this thing has come out? It is because of the rising urban economies in the world. Now, if you look at this graph on your left side, this is basically two lines which are intersecting each other. The line which is darker is reflecting the urban ratio in the world. And the lighter right is basically rural ratio of the population in the world. Now, in 2007, it has basically crossed. The urban population of the world has increased as compared to the rural population, and it is rising. Now, rural population will be declining. As of today, when we are talking in 2019, the figures are almost 59%, which they have reached. And in Pakistan, as we are talking today, they have 36.2%. So it means that Pakistan is relatively behind while the global trends are. Now, as per McKinsey report, 25% of the city population will be producing 60% of the GDP by 2025. And why cities are? Because cities basically create agglomeration. When you create agglomeration, it means that the scale increases, diffusion of technology is easy, your outreach increases, and it creates prosperity and better governance also. Not in the same manner, but it does. What is the structure which we are talking about? Now, basically, we segregate because we want to create a better structure and to create some tangible deliverables for you. So this is the international model, how we divide it: physical development, business development, and workforce development. Now, we're talking about physical development, create and expand workforce, workspace, and outreach. It is a land-based development where you work in creating space, in making it more productive. Now you have a business development. It means you have to improve the climate for risk-taking and prosperity, the doing business thing in a city. Now then we have a workforce development. You are nurturing human capital for market participation. So when you're talking human capital, what sort of a human capital which is there in Chakwal, how you are going to improve its quality and productivity. Now we talk about this growth coalition working, which we have talked initially. Now we have put into a 4 paradigm around it where we have to work. Now we have political, I mean to say, because this is a participatory approach. So you need to have parliamentarians, the political party, the civil society over there have to. Then the business side, you have a business chambers, trade association, corporate groups which are operating there. Then you have a social, the education, healthcare, philanthropy. Then you have the government. It's a local municipality, your administration and people. And obviously, you have provincial and federal government also in Pakistani environment. You have to take care of that. I mean to say, even private sector cannot operate in vacuum. So if government is there, so it's better that we should make a partner of it instead of having an antagonistic sort of a relationship between them. Okay. Precedent, actually, this is a precedent. What we have done last year, the work in Faisalabad. Actually, I worked on the Faisalabad economic development strategy. We worked with it. So it was a very extensive consultations which we done with it. This is an endorsement sessions. We have local MNAs, the FDA Director General, then we have chamber presidents, then we have vice chancellors of the university, all this elite which we have gathered from the Faisalabad, and we have presented them our economic development strategy, which is based on the local stakeholders. And why this thing has came up, because one thing which I want to share with you, you might be aware, some of you people, that in 2019, the government has basically introduced a local government act in Punjab. And in that local government act, the type of functions which they have basically devolved to the local government, economic development and value chain development is the number one function. If you look at the schedule 6 or 7, I believe. And we went to many cities and we talked to these top municipal people and all those guys, and even at the chamber level also, that you are aware of that what is an economic development thing? And nobody is aware of it, because for them, for the chamber, the economic development is to have some sort of a concessions from the federal government or the provincial government. So nobody is thinking at the local level. And Pakistan, if you're talking about, it's the 5th largest country. It cannot be managed. Humanly, it's not possible that it can be managed. Even if you're talking about Punjab, where the Chakwal is located, Punjab has a population of 110 million. It's on standalone basis is the 12th largest country. And you cannot manage a 12th largest country. You look at the 11th largest country, you cannot manage it. It means that cities, districts have to now lead from the front. If they really want to create economic opportunities in their cities, they want to create innovation in their cities. So what is important? Create an economic vision statement. We made an economic vision statement for Faisalabad, and this is what it came from the people. To become a resilient hub of Rachna Doab economic region that offers equitable opportunities for inclusive growth and prosperity. Now, Rachna Doab has a historical significance for them, like Katha's temple has. So that's sort of an economic region which is below Chenab River and across this Ravi. So that region where Faisalabad is located, that's what they want to make. There where they have created that textile hub of the country. And likewise, if you see it, what we have done this segregation. We have basically suggested, I need to say this is what coming from the people of Faisalabad, their chambers, their universities, you can say the civil society, the academia, their government officials, it is coming from that side. If you look at the physical development side, we have that construction of Technopark, construction of plazas, innovation district, canal front development, business development, technical support, blah, blah, blah. These are things where are coming. I've just highlighted this physical development on construction of Technopark because this is a thing which we are able to initiate among all these initiatives on our engagement with the local stakeholders. And Faisalabad is basically now in the process of constructing its first software technology park in Faisalabad. Country, we already have 14 software technology park. Faisalabad will be doing, and we are pleased that we have done an effort. We have supported with all this teamwork in order to get these approvals and everything to create this software technology park for Faisalabad. So that is one of the area where we work. And because of the COVID, things have gone a bit slow down. So it is going to start soon. Now we're talking about the global precedents. What are the global models? I'm just talking about the global visioning. And when you're talking about the global visioning, every city has a global vision. If you look at London, the London have a vision which is to create a fairer, more inclusive city with an economy that works for all Londoners. An interesting part is this, that London has its economic development strategy, which is of 240 pages. The existing mayor, Mr. Sadiq Khan, is basically initiator of that economic development strategy for London. You look at Perth, you look at Durban. I mean to say, these are all, and this is what we can say the resilience of the cities. We don't go to countries, we visit cities. This is very important for us to understand. I go to Dubai, I don't go to UAE. I go to New York, not USA. I'm coming to Chakwal. The Chakwal, the Islamabads, the Lahores, they have more tangible value and imagination in human mind. So that is important for us to work and to pitch and market it. This is basically some successful models which we have talked about because I was talking about this these technoparks. and all these innovation districts. On your left, if you see the Dalian Software Park in Dalian, excellent thing. And it is done by the municipality, mind this, by the local government. And then we have High Tech City in Hyderabad, India. Look at these places where you have so many foreign investment coming into it. And that shows the power of that ecosystem which these guys have created. These value chain strengthening. You're talking about property-based development. You're talking about diversified sectoral and vertical exposure. Obviously, I'm talking about in context of technology sector, but this sort of a model, what is important for us, the principles. I mean to say, Chakwan will have his own competitive edge. It will be looking for its own competitive edge where it can pitch itself into international market, where the local stakeholders, local people can create their growth coalition to come together and work on it. So with this, I just come to an end to my presentation, and I'm open for any questions if you have. But I'm really happy, and I'm really, I mean to say, pleased that the people are working, and they're working in their own silos. What is important for us, that we all should basically converge our energies. We collect together our energies, our work, so that we can learn from each other and we can support each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zia Pandey, for your valuable suggestions and your valuable ideas you gathered for us from different regions of the world. And definitely, if we implement these ideas for our cities, ultimately we will move on to the innovative Pakistan, inshallah. Thank you so much. So if you have any question, please, you can raise your hand and I will take your question, and then I will move to my last speaker, Dr. Muhammad Imran. If you have any question, then please raise your hand. Yes, here is the ask. Please unmute your mic.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, please.
My name is Anwar Salim Tawal. I'm calling from Karachi.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Yeah, I'm participating,
Yes,
participating from Karachi. My question is, I just want to understand this very concept of this entrepreneurship which entire Pakistan is pursuing. But we don't have got one repository of data which can enable us to make the right kind of decisions. I'm talking about decision making, DSS. And we have spent a hell lot of money and everything, but everybody is on his own island. And we don't have any kind of a common, decision support system for what we are doing. So you gentlemen have any plan for that? Because I want to share, if you will allow me in another 1 minute. I was trying to get some data on inter-province imports and exports, if you want to use that word. But I need to say what is sent from Karachi to KPK and vice versa in other provinces. So are you working on any kind of a DSS for this country, or everybody will just living his life with money in the name of entrepreneurship? Because I think entrepreneurship is the business not for profit. It's for more pious thing, which is working for a cause. So that's my question.
Thank you so much for your question. Yes. Zia Pandey, sir, please.
Can I apply?
Yes.
Okay. No,
Yes.
This is a very valid question. This is a very valid question. And we are also at loss to get any sort of, I mean to say the PIDE also, we are at loss to get sub-national data, which he's talking about sub-national data between provinces. I mean to say it's a very valuable information, data you require. I worked in China for a year, and what I feel in China that I got the data at the city level. I mean to say I got the data of a city, what sort of an exports and imports they have, the domestic consumption they have, the GDP they have. If I want to talk about it, then what is the GDP of Chakwan, for example? How much exports and imports are doing? I don't have that sort of a data. That's a problem which we are having. Now for that, what is important that we don't have to wait now. I mean to say, what is Chakwal needs today the work to be done. Now it means that it has to take its strand in its own hand. It just have to move now. Already people are moving. I mean to say, when the people who have established, for example, textile industry in Faisalabad, a backwater of Pakistan, they didn't went for some a detailed feasibility or research or what is a global market and all that stuff. Yes, they have got some fair idea. I've seen people out there working, and I'm just giving you one example of Faisalabad where I've basically worked a bit closely with the business community. So likewise, if you're talking about these exports which Pakistan are doing, whether they are doing in meat, they are doing in horticulture, they are doing in textiles, they're doing in leather, mind this, not much data is available. Data is important, but business is not going to spend money on it. What is the responsibility? If China is generating data, the data is generated by the government. So what is important, that if government is aloof, if government is not working on that end, then it has to be from the citizenry in that power equation. I mean to say, what Chakwal is doing. Chakwal is basically moving in that direction. They are moving up, they're upping their stake in the system. They're saying, okay, we are going to make Chakwal innovative. We are going to take Chakwal ahead. And I need this information from you guys. I need this thing to be done in it. It has to be methodical manner in a bottom-up approach. It has to be a political approach. It cannot be just talking to those people. No, you have to create enough noise from bottom in order to get that information. Unfortunately, in Pakistan, we don't have subnational economic data available with us.
Thank you so much. Now I would like to invite Dr. Muhammad Imran, Associate Professor, Quaid-e-Azam University. Sir, please over to you. Please share some valuable suggestions and your guidelines for District Chakwal. Dr. Imran. Dr. Imran, can you hear me? Dr. Imran, can you hear me, please? Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Over to you, please.
Over to you, please. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sorry for the delay because of the.
Dr. Imran, I would like to request, please
My
turn off
topic
the
is-
other devices. Yes, thank you.
About like biotechnology for the rural of nutrition. You all know that issue in the development of any nation. So first of all, I am very thankful to the IRP, Bin Qutb Foundation for their very aggressive sort of effort to develop the has already followed it in maybe 50 years. So yeah, I will do it. It's okay. Okay, so my topic is a little bit different. I'm not going to discuss the policy. Maybe I'm going to discuss an idea like how we can maybe develop some businesses or something that will really affect the general public. And that is about the nutrition. Like everybody know the nutrition science, and nowadays it is a world level slogan like if you want to have a healthy body, you have to concentrate on the nutrition. So nutrition for the layman, if I give the definition, it is the consumption, absorption, and utilization of the nutrients. But most of the cases, we all are suffering from a disbalance in our body, and that's quite important. In order to have a healthy nation, you need a healthy body. Like that can create the healthy mind, and ultimately you can think more about the innovations. So what type of the nutrition that is needed for the genetic potential we have, what is the structural integrity we can maintain by the nutrition and mental health, and how we can withstand with the process of aging, and how we can resist with the environment and the impact of toxin and diseases, that all lies with the balanced nutrition. Okay, but what happened with the passage of time, this traditional foods has been transformed into the industrialized foods. So that transition was driven by the media as well. If you look at my scale now, like in 1961, Mr. Key, he presented a theory like all the animal fat is actually causing the cardiovascular diseases. But this theory is being rejected in 2014. And now the people are more like in the scientists, they have proved like eating butter is not harmful for the human body. So this is what has happened, that science has given us a gift, like we depended on some sort of the data for another population, and we applied it for the whole world. So what I am discussing now is about the personalized nutrition. So nowadays the concept is about the personalized nutrition. You have to focus on the local population whenever you want to design a nutritional menu for someone. Okay, things are getting smarter, and the technology actually gives us the smarter devices. At the same time, this technology gave us the smarter foods, and these smarter foods are actually have the abundance of energy. And on the other side, our sedentary lifestyle is not used to consume this, and that they are actually accommodating in our body. Everybody knows this concept, but this concept is beyond that. If you look at this, like this is how the technology is developed, and how the human physiology is changed with the technology. So we are looking at, like, maybe it is a technological problem, like we have the more luxuries, but on the other hand, we actually changed our food. Our eating habit has been changed over the period of time. It is not the technological gift. It is the gift like of the science and the processing or the industrial revolution we have that make our food more smarter. So what are the issues? Issues are the nutritional deficiencies like vitamin, calcium, high incidence of the diseases. Those are mostly the chronic diseases, and the product toxicities. Like whenever the cities actually expands, we have to transport the food from the rural areas to the urban areas. And during that transportation, we have to increase the shelf life of that food. And in order to increase the shelf life of the food, either we process the food, like we have the sterilization technique, we heat the meat, heat the milk up to 121 degrees centigrade for a few seconds, that kill all the microbiota in it in order to preserve it. But at the same time, it also degrade the nutrients in it, like vitamin D. That's why every second person have a new deficiency of vitamin D. And moreover, when the processing was not possible, we added in order to kill the cells in the human physiology, like now, like it's the non-communicable. I think we need to have a more the innovation or the more focus toward the rural area, so that we can actually stop this migration from the rural areas to the urban areas. So if we're looking at this, more of the non-communicable diseases, they are spread in the industrialized country rather than in the countries like us where the rural population is high. So Pakistan is located here. So, and more the total deaths, those are actually from the non-communicable diseases. I will discuss in detail later. they are actually in the industrialized countries. When we compare like what is happening basically in the industrialized countries, then in the countries those are no even rely on the traditional sort of the the food systems. If you look at here at this slide, this is the data of the microbiome. So I will discuss the microbiome, what is that, in the next slide. So here it is the non-industrialized nations. Here is the industrialized countries where you can see the lot of use of the antibiotics and the supplements and the smarter food or the junk food. Those are, if you look into the gut of the human populations, those living in the industrialized countries, they are actually lacking the diversity. So basically, we as a human, we are not living alone. In our body, we have maybe 100 trillion microbes. Those have 10 times more fold, 10 folds more of the population than the human cells. And they have the more impact. They are 2 kg of our body weight, 3.3 million non-redundant genes. And everybody know that the genome is the basic drive that actually give us the expression of the properties in the humans. 150 times more genome is in the microorganisms. And where they mostly reside in our intestine. And that intestinal area is 250 to 300 meters square. So the food we basically eat actually carry these microbes. And right from our birth till the death, these microorganisms live with us. We cannot get rid of it, and we cannot, kill them, or we cannot even change them very easily. And on which factor they basically depend. One is the environment, and other is the food which we are actually eating in our daily life. So basically, all the modern illnesses, or those are called the industrialized or non-communicable illnesses nowadays, they have their root in our gut. Like whatever we are eating, it has actually a significant impact on our health. One is the nutritional deficiency. If that microbiota that is living in our gut, if get altered, or it get dysbiosed, or it get destroyed or spoiled, so what will happen? One is the malnutrition that we all are suffering nowadays. Other is inflammatory bowel diseases. Every second person have the inflammatory issues in their bowel, in their gut. The colorectal cancer, rheumatoid arthritis, Parkinson, autism, and even other type of the cancers, like and the insulin sensitivity, one of the big challenge in the world. Type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular diseases. So the death that actually happened because of the sudden heart attack, it has a root in our gut. That the daily basis, the diet we are actually taking is ultimately altering that microbiota. Maybe sometime we are taking the similar diet in an household, and one person actually suffer the heart attack, other don't. What happened? Basically, the gut microbiota of those, both of them, may be different. And how the nutrients are being actually utilized by them, that is quite important. So basically, how we can this was the background of the problem. Like by the consumption of the lot of junk foods, those are full of the toxic chemicals, and those are being processed, and their composition is get actually changed during the processing. Like I have given the example of UHT treated milk, where we treat it about 131 degrees centigrade. So how we can prevent it? So basically, one of the solution is to, give some of the source of that microbiota, or we get it from the sources, these probiotics. So traditional fermented products is one of the answer. Like if we bake the traditional fermented products, those has been used over the centuries by the human population, and we incorporate in our guts, and our ancestors basically had the routine of consumption of these traditional fermented products, they had a very less incidence of these type of diseases. So if we try in this area and produce these traditionally fermented food products on a scientific basis, what the world is doing, what the Europe and America is doing, we can provide the economical source for the rural population, because rural population cannot buy the imported products. They have to rely it on the local resources. So here I am going to give you one of the example which we are actually consuming every day. So fermentation, like we all know that everybody is using the fermented food products. But what happens when they are produced on the retail base, they are not in a control. Maybe some of the pathogen can be transferred in them, and the variation from the one shop, and when we go to buy dairy from the local shop, you can easily observe, like from the shop to shop there is a lot of variation. Although the microbiota is converting it, but the composition and the concentration of the microbiota is highly variable because technology is not being optimized. But this fermentation process is known for the centuries, and it preserves the nutrients and extends the shelf life in a very safe manner. So the lactic acid bacteria are here. Those are very, very important for the milk fermentations. So one is like nowadays people know like fermentation is also an industrial fermentation, but one is the traditional fermentation. In spite of a lot of effort and advertisement, we all know that we are the people who actually resist the change the most in the world. And we didn't adopt it to the unique taste of the, the starter culture. Those are being used by the Nestle. That's why the Nestle has only captured 5% of the fermented milk market in Pakistan. All the rest of the food products are actually supplied by the retails. And these retails are under no control. Like they are actually present in the, they are being used for the fermentation process. So as I have told, like
Dr. Imran, I would like to request to conclude your presentation, please. Dr. Imran, we are unable to hear you. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, you now you can hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. So so basically, my objective here to present you about the use of the biotechnology in this regard, like from where we can convert the locally produced raw material into the value-added products like the wheat and the milk that is being produced in the local regions. That cannot be done without innovation. And that innovation is the development of the starter cultures. And these starter cultures are actually the microbiota. Those are natively maybe present there, but we have to select them. Must be compatible with the local taste, and that was the main factor where Nestle could not compete with the local producers, those are retailers. Although we know them, that product may not be healthy, but still we are consuming because of our taste development over the period of the centuries, maybe. So the probiotic industry is one of the things that can be added here. So the layout for this is like we need to have isolated strains. Those are well characterized for specific products. Then we have to produce them at the large scale level, at the industrial level, and then we maybe can supply these smart starter culture to the local stockholders, like the retailers, so that they can produce consistent product over the period of time. this will not only, reduce the safety issues, those are related with these products, that will also give the consistency in the taste. And ultimately what it will give is, the cut of the imports. Normally, we are importing these all starter cultures and the probiotic culture from the world. And that import level is much higher, like maybe 11 to 12 metric tons per year. Probiotics has been imported by into the Pakistan, and that is the $1 billion industry. And this will give a less expensive solution for the local people. In one side, it will improve the health of the local people. And if we can produce a consistent product with the more reliability and more safety at local level, it will of course creates the jobs. And when the nutritional status of the people will be uplifted, of course, it will not only give them the good health, but also cut their medical bills. So thank you very much for your time. Maybe it was not much relevant with the policy, but it was just an idea where we can maybe put efforts to do something.
Thank you so much, Dr. Imran, Associate Professor at Qaidazin University. Now I would like to invite Commodore Arshad Mahmood Khan, Director, Pakistan Maritime Science and Technology Park. He's also from Chakwal. Sir, it will be honor for us if you will speak and if you will say a few words about innovative Chakwal. Over to you, sir, please. Sir, please unmute yourself.
Okay.
Yes.
I've done
Thank
it.
you. Yes.
Can you hear me now, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
First of all, I'm grateful to Dr. Bashir Saab and Dr. Rahmat Saab for having arranged this wonderful seminar. Chakwal, in fact, is one of the frontline district, and if you look at it with respect to the education, it is, alhamdulillah, it stands out in Punjab. Parents are spending a lot on the education of their children, but unfortunately, I don't know whether it is at the policy level done intentionally or accidentally, that University of Chakwal has been just recently established. So missing a university in a city which is one of the greatest cities of Pakistan, as you said, that it is ranking close to within top 10 cities of Pakistan. So I think university has to do a lot in mapping or profiling Chakwal as to what are the strengths of this city, what are the weaknesses of this city, and what needs to be done to promote local entrepreneurship. Industry is there at Chakwal, but we need to create industry which matches with the agriculture produce. So we have to actually profile Chakwal as a district which is gradually producing value-added products pertaining to agriculture and pertaining to rural economy. So mere hisab se, there are areas which we need to divide. We need to divide different townships within Chakwal and assign them their roles. Some can do good in dairy, some can produce, peanuts, as our region is good at peanuts. There are other regions which can produce fruits. There are other, regions which can be assigned some other roles. So we have to actually take a start. Theoretically speaking, all the speakers have done wonderfully well to educate us on various aspects of triple helix model and collaboration between government, academia, and industry. I myself, as a director of Pakistan Maritime Science and Technology Park, am struggling to actually evolve this. In countries like Pakistan, in countries which are developing, it is very difficult to bring on board every stakeholder. So most of the time we tend to learn from developed countries. It is good to learn from them, but there is a huge gap between us and the Europe, between us and Australia, and between us and the other developed countries. We need to evolve a homegrown homegrown model for our triple helix things. Because our political masters, they just come, for a tenure, and they don't have their own goals set for themselves. I think, our representation in the parliament is doing not enough good for our people. Hence, people like Mr. Bashir Malik, they come forward to help the community. They establish, philanthropic overtures which can help the poor masses in the rural areas. Poverty level, which has been cited for Chakwal, is, I think, unfounded. It has been very, I would say, optimally put across. Poverty is increasing every day, especially with after the pandemic, which is prevailing these days. Our district has gone poorer with the passage of time. There is a huge, level of ignorance within the people as to how to make their living, where to go for education. The level of education in the rural area, especially in the villages, is not good enough to compete with the people of the city. So I, as a recruiter also in the military, I've been recruiting people from across Pakistan. So mostly people, especially the officer lot or the higher lots in the policy level, they find it difficult. They struggle to actually match with the level of education which is provided in cities like Karachi, Lahore, and Faisalabad, Sialkot, even Gujarat. So I would like to submit to everyone who is listening to me that we need to take a start and take a start quickly before it is too late. Because despite the fact that everybody knew that Pakistan is suffering from population explosion, hardly anything has been done at the government level to develop our human resource in a systematic manner. So we need to take rational decisions at this stage. We may not be going for idealistic solutions, but pragmatic solutions. We need to find a match between end ways and means. And the government has enough at its disposal to actually, if it reduces its administrative expenditures, to spend on the education at the district level. So I would say and suggest that, first of all, we need to profile our district. We need to, divide our district into various sectors, and especially the SMEs have to come up. We have to have job opportunities created at the doorstep of the district. The military cannot absorb everybody and anybody which is, getting passed out from school at high school levels. So we have to evolve our own local economy. We have to evolve our own local industry, and we need to bridge the gap which is existing as of now. If we adopt a progressive approach, slow approach, which is, academically good and idealistic, it will take a long time to bridge the gap which is prevailing between us and the other regional players and the global players. So I would urge, people like Humayun Sarfraz Saab to look into it, that our university has a proper business incubation and commercialization center set up as quickly as possible. Our Chakwal University should have a leadership development center set up as a first step immediately. Because if he wants to nominate a focal person for other people to interact with him, that focal person would need a wherewithal and a platform to stand on and interact with people from all across Pakistan. So our diaspora abroad and our diaspora from Chakwal living in cities is really concerned about the way things are happening in our rural areas of Chakwal. So I would, at the end, appreciate every one of us who is present here and who is concerned about Chakwal, and mostly my salutes and very profound regards to Dr. Bashir Saab and our speaker from abroad, Emmanuel, Mr. Emmanuel is here. My salutes to you for having contributed and educated us on today's topic. Thank you very much.